Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So here I want to cover the new artifacts that we can obtain as per the second part of the Volcanic Visions Battle Pass. They're technically not new as they're just returning reworked artifacts, but they will have the highest item level in the game at 1800 when on Mythic, pretty much making them best in slot to use if you want to have that maximum item level. So let's cover all of them in this video. First of all, how to obtain them. Well, you'll go to the battle pass and you'll do the activities, get your XP, and you'll just claim the pack for free. That's totally what I recommend doing. But if you want them here and now, you can of course spend some Zen and get the buyout, like we shall do. We currently have 16% advancement, so we get 16% off, but since we're under 20%, we can actually get a coupon, so we can save ourselves a little bit. Now, in my opinion, this is completely wasted Zen. I'm doing it so that you guys don't, and so I can showcase you these artifacts now. You can also purchase this pack much later on when you've obtained nearly all the XP, and then gain a bunch of overflow XP because that buyout pack will always give you 4000 XP, and that way you can get a whole bunch of these extra bonus packs. They don't give a lot, but the rewards from the say 1 in 10 drop chance box is actually not the worst. You can see the standard choice pack version 2 has got the armored griffin, Mystagogue, companion equipment choice pack, and some epic insignias. And then with the premium choice pack, you've got like the frost salamander, shadow elemental, sword eel, or a legendary insignia. But moving back to the rewards, we can now claim that volcanic artifact choice pack. In doing so, we can see what's in it, and yes, you've got the Actuarium music box, the staff of flowers, the Trobriand overcharging ring, and the vibrating erratic drift globe. Some of which have been updated a little bit, looking at you, Erratic Drift Globe in particular, as they said in this blog here. Their stat distributions and powers match the originals, but due to some issues with how the originals were scaled, they've gone and changed both of them. So I'm going to copy this to the preview server and we can obtain all of them. So here we are with 5 of the packs. Be aware again, this is the preview server. You'll have to choose only one of them, and that's it. No matter how many characters you have, you'll only be able to obtain this reward once. So let's first obtain the Actuaria's music box, then we'll get the Staff of Flowers, the Trobriand ring, and the Erratic Drift Globe. If you didn't want any of them, you could choose this bonus artifact upgrade pack, 100,000 refinement points, 5 epic enchanting stones, and 1 glyph of potencies. Completely do not choose this, and I'll tell you why. Basically, all these artifacts, you can right click them and you can unbind them. It's going to cost you though 30 unbind tokens because they're on epic already. And this is exactly like the older ones. So before upgrading them, I highly recommend unbinding them. Once they're unbound, they will always remain that way, even if we go and refine it. We'll go ahead and do so. Now, ideally, you'll just use preservation wards here, protect your glyphs, protect your enchanting stones, and it depends how many refinement points you have. You might want to consider just not protecting them and just consuming some, as they might not be worth much to you. And there you go, we upgraded 15 tries. We were particularly unlucky there. And then some more pres wards, as it's a 5% upgrade chance. I do recommend throwing in a primitive moat here for 1%. That can be worth it, as those are as cheap as all hell. We're also super unlucky here with this one. We need to do all 30 tries, which means we're now at the point of a guaranteed 100% upgrade chance because, yeah, we have that streak breaker. But there you go. Mythic artifact. We had to spend maximum pres wards, which was unlucky, but now we have it. An artifact of 1800 item level, the highest in the game. There are currently only 2 others, well, 3 others now. The Heart of the Volcano, a Jewel of Caldera, which can be pretty expensive from the newest dungeon, and the Searing Conduit of Magma. So, ideally we have a 4th. And that's where this comes in. we need to choose one of the 4 to use as at least our secondary for the stats and the item level. So this is the old version, 600 item level. We're simply going to swap that out for the new version. It looks no different with the icon, but the name is slightly different. This is the resonating music box, where the older one is just the music box. But yes, they're identical in every other way other than the item level, and then I guess the stats are scaled up to match that, meaning you're obtaining a lot more ratings there. And if we look as, say, like a damage dealer, we're trying to get as many offensive stats as possible. We can see, yeah, the music box is going to be the best there, because the Staff of Flowers is just going to give power, crit strike, and awareness. The ring will give power, defense, crit avoidance, and the globe max HP, defense, and deflection. So this is absolutely the best choice for damage dealers if you're to use it just as secondary for the stats. We'll look at the bonuses and the benefits of casting the artifact if you were to use it in primary in just a sec. But let's get the rest of these upgraded. There we go. So that's all of them. Again, you can see their stats, 1800 item level on each of them. And yeah, as we described, the music box is absolutely going to be the best one out of these 4 for a damage dealer giving those stats. So you can see they're unbound, which means you can actually go and sell these, and you can probably sell it for a few million astral diamonds. You can see some people already are 6.6 million. If you do the mistake of upgrading it to Mythic before unbinding it, you're going to have to spend 50 tokens. So make sure to unbind it before you upgrade it. And there we have it. If you're unaware where to get unbind tokens, well, they do sell them in the Zen market, but I would highly recommend just waiting to get them to drop in dungeons. They do, and there's very little that you can actually use them on. If you've been playing the game for any amount of time, you probably have hundreds of these unbind tokens and are not really sure what to spend them on. Here is an opportunity, a great one at that. So if you're not pushing for max item level in endgame, absolutely go and unbind it and sell it. Which one? Well, let's have a look at the bonuses, shall we? So we begin with the music box. If you read the description, you're going to summon 2 mimics, which are then going to dash forward, damaging enemies. They'll even consume minions. That is one of the most unique things with this artifact. Much like the T-Rex, if you have a weak enemy who has only 1 dot above them, this artifact is just going to chew them up regardless of their hit points. So you can cast it, those mimics rush forward, and anything they collide with, they just eat it up. So if you're in like tough content and those minions might have 2-3 million hit points each, this artifact can be used to just immediately eat them. I remember this being used back in Vault of Stars when we had to fight like one of the mini bosses. They'd have lots of minions, and this could help a lot to clear them before, say, the tank dies. Otherwise, this artifact has a set bonus called Inherent Danger. You need to get the Tattered Mantle and the Conduction Cable, and those you'll have to do Master Expeditions. So you will find them available on the auction house, or you can go do Undermountain Expeditions if you want to farm it and sell it. That's always an option. But the set is currently broken. It's supposed to work when you use a daily power against your enemy. When you are behind them, you will gain the bonus of Inherent Danger for 10 seconds. So your at-will and encounter powers will deal 15% extra damage. But this unfortunately doesn't work. We can use our daily power and then we can attack our target, and we'll get no triggers of this set at all. We can have a look just here. No Inherent Danger. It comes up as an additional hit. So I'm not sure what they done to the set, but they broke it. So yeah, you wouldn't really choose the music box for that, but it is still pretty valuable with the minion consume. I believe even still in your Tomb of the Nine Gods dungeon, you can have it consume like those souls. But let's move over to the next artifact, the Staff of Flowers. This can be super useful in multi-target. When you read the description, you can see it's going to apply a damage over time with poison, and also slow your enemies by 25%, and anybody within the area gains 10% power and 10% critical strike for 10 seconds. We can cast it amongst these enemies, and there you go. The area looks really cool, and it just deals all that damage to these guys. Now they have an absolute ton of hit points, and we didn't critically hit, but we can see the damage afterwards. Yeah, it was only like 70,000, so perhaps it does a lot less damage than I thought it would. Maybe that is to do with their updating, and they made it deal quite a lot less damage. I clearly remember this thing being actually pretty effective. We will give it another chance. We'll cast it here again. We should also see the buff, Staff of Flowers, enemy movement speed reduced, power and crit strike increased. But there's the damage again. No critical hits. Looking at that here, we can even see we were not getting any combat advantage damage with that. And overall, it was still only like 70,000 damage. We're not scaled or anything. I'm a little bit confused as to why the damage on this is so terrible. Again, they may very well have gone and updated it and actually nerfed it. I will cast it from stealth this time. See if we can get combat advantage against the dudes. We cannot. The enemies are deflecting, and again, no critical hit. I don't even believe the thing can critically hit. They really nerfed the hell out of this guy for its damage output. So it's not an artifact I would use as a damage dealer. Potentially as a healer or a tank if you just want to support your allies to give them that power and crit strike. It's only going to be very useful for like the newer players in random queues and things like that who miss those stats. I mean, it's useful and it is pretty powerful. You can use it during an artifact call, and if they don't have those stats already, that is a pretty big damage boost. But again, not one I would pick for a damage dealer. Then we go to the Trobriand's Overcharging Ring. When you use it, it's going to release a charge of electricity, stunning and damaging enemies that stand in your way, and then also spawn a Scaladar that attacks your targets for 15 seconds. So again, let's see what this is about. It can potentially only hit guys in front of us. We're going to use this from stealth at about positioned here. And yeah, it appears to have only hit the guys in front of us. This is the Scaladar right there that we summoned. Should last 15 seconds, and see how much damage he's doing. He can benefit with combat advantage, but that is some measly little hits. And then he explodes and does knock back enemies a bit. But overall, definitely a lot more damage than we got from, say, that Staff of Flowers. The electric charge is quite a substantial damage hit. We got up to like 260,000 there on a critical hit and with combat advantage and no deflect. And yeah, overall like 700,000 damage from it. It can be useful. I wouldn't say it's the best in multi-target, not by a long shot, but it is decent for that stun. So finally, the Vibrating Erratic Drift Globe. It's not going to deal any damage. It's just going to increase the deflect of allies by 10%, reduce the critical strike of enemies by 5%, and reduce the deflect chance of enemies by 5%. Range 50 feet, duration 10 seconds. So we can have a look. This should be an area of effect, affecting all of these enemies. And we'll just cast it from this distance. That should be 40 feet within everybody. In doing so, you can see they all get like that sparkly visual effect around their heads. So they're all affected by it. You can look on their buffs as well. And we should gain a deflect boost. When this goes away, 37%, we should be back down at 27%. Indeed, it seems to be working. This is definitely one of the ones that they did go and update, because I clearly remember this Erratic Drift Globe reducing the enemy's stats by like 40,000 and increasing our own stats by 40,000, and it was ratings. Now it's not ratings, which means I think it will work properly with enemies. Before it wasn't, but overall I wouldn't use it. You might contemplate using it for increasing allies' damage against the target, but honestly, no. you're only reducing the enemy's deflect chance by 5%, which means nothing when you have your accuracy capped. When you're at max accuracy, deflects do nothing. And reducing the chance by 5% is still only a chance. Enemies will still be able to deflect and reduce your damage. And it just means that's going to contribute to like less than 1% damage gain if you're at 75% accuracy. Overall, not an artifact I would use. But much like we touched on with the music box, these other ones actually have sets too, artifact sets. You can see them all in the collections here. Like your Staff of Flowers has this woven vine plus the blooming cord, giving you Rune of Cooperation. This can increase the awareness of allies and their combat advantage and make them a bit immune to control effects. Not really one I would use because you have to use a daily power and only lasts 6 seconds. The Trobriand's Ring allows you to gain a 5% damage boost and also take 5% less damage after using a daily power, only for 10 seconds. Again, not something I would use. And then there's the Erratic Drift Globe with the reflective collar and the mirror plated belt, giving Rune of Fortification. You create a rune, anybody standing in it gains 5% defense, 5% deflection, and take 5% less damage. This is potentially a set I would use. I personally have this set from a long time ago on my tank. And so when you use that daily power, you create that area in the ground. It's not that big, but you create that survivability effect by reducing the damage people take by 5% and giving them 5% defense. But it's useful for increasing the survivability of the team when they need it. So in like Tower of the Mad Mage, in like Zariel, in any of the content where you have mitigation checks where people can group up and stand in that, it can be very useful. The only problem is obtaining the reflective collar and the mirror plated belt. That is like impossible these days. I believe it was obtainable in module 27 if you had the currency and could access the old campaign store with some keybind, but now it's gone. It's something I would like them to bring back at potentially updated item level, but you can see there are still some here if people wanted to obtain them. But just be aware again, I believe the source is limited. You'll only be able to get this and then they're all gone. So they'll probably go up and up and up in price over time. And on top of that, there isn't really any content where this is necessary. But again, my verdict on these artifacts is to just take the Arcturia's music box as a damage dealer to use as secondary and in some niche cases as primary. You will still be better off using a debuff artifact as your primary to reduce the enemy's damage resistance and increase the damage they take for those artifact calls. This will be used as secondary for stats and item level. It's the best one for those damage dealers. The other one, the Staff of Flowers, it's great for healers and tanks to support the team, creating that area on the ground, boosting your power and your crit strike. But then also the stats are decent for healers with the power and crit strike. And then sure, tanks could take the Erratic Drift Globe and you could potentially get that artifact set for, again, some specific content. Overall, I hope this helps you make your decision of which one to choose. With them having 1800 item level, they're just best in slot for that. Of course, over time we will get more and more, so I wouldn't rush to obtain them and spend lots of currency to get them, particularly not purchasing them from the auction house. And those of you who want to make some Master Diamonds are in no rush to, say, run Master Endgame content and don't feel the need to min-max. Absolutely make some Master Diamonds and go ahead and sell them. Just be aware that if you were to go and buy them, don't get caught out and buy these lesser 600 item level versions. As it stands, you can see people already selling them, like the Staff of Flowers for 6 million. But the damage output on this thing has been nerfed heavily, so I wouldn't use it as primary like people have done in the past. And so, thanks for watching. A special thank you to all these channel members for your extra support, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.